Airings, Voices of Our Youth, is about the wins and losses that kids have when they're in their middle school and high school years. I've been creating community-based evening-length pieces for a while, but they don't necessarily relate to each other. They all just have a similar kind of format. So it's a series in that way, I suppose. Each piece has involved community members working with professional trained dancers, as well as often there's a composer or a sound designer, a visual artist, maybe a painter or a videographer or a filmmaker. And each piece has a theme or a specific topic that we've explored. And each piece has been its own self-standing evening length work. So they've all been between an hour and a half long, I suppose. So those are the common threads. In past pieces, the community members have been in the studio with us this year, and that's usually what I do. The community members, when I find people who will share their story with me, part of the get-up is that you're going to be in the rehearsal process too. You're not just going to get interviewed and get to walk away. You have to show up to all these rehearsals and perform. So this piece was different in that so that the kids could be anonymous if they wanted to and speak a little bit more freely. We chose to let them not be in the performance, and we wanted to have it be a little bit more flexible with scheduling, and it'd be really hard to get all of the kids able to perform various places. So it's a slightly different process when there's community members in the room and if there's not. When the community members are in the room, the dancers and our first job is to create a space where people feel safe, like physically safe and emotionally safe and safe to say and do and try. And we set that up pretty quickly. That's like the number one, because you need to be able to make mistakes and be ridiculous and, don't have a censor, that stuff. And then it's about not having a censor, honestly. It's about, if you have an idea, if anybody in the room has an idea, everybody says yes to it and you try it, as long as no one's going to get hurt. Which sometimes, no, we're good. Then you give it a go. And then sometimes everybody looks at each other in the room and then you have a moment of, okay, don't tell anybody, we just did that. That was really bad, right? But then sometimes this magical thing will unfold. I tell the story of, in prison pieces, we made a piece about 5 stories of people who are affiliated somehow with the prison system, whether a parent is in prison or a prison guard or 5 different avenues in. And in rehearsal, I was seeing the 2 dancers crawling on the floor with their cheeks touching. And it was insane. I'm thinking, what is this image? I just kept seeing it over and over, and I didn't want to say it out loud because it was so, just you picture it, right? Come on. Then finally I thought, I have to say this, I have to see them do it. So then, and there are 2 dancers I've worked with a lot, and I said, okay, here's the deal. I need you to get on the ground, I need you to crawl and put your cheeks on each other. And they were like, okay. And they did it, and it was amazing. Unbelievable. It was just like the room just sort of quivered with energy of that's exactly right. Yeah, it's bizarre. And you just know it, you kind of feel it. And so that's what we do. And so with community members, they bring possibilities that the trained artists wouldn't have thought of, and then vice versa, of course. And on this piece, we've, because the dancers are younger, they're not that far from this time period. So, and we all can relate to lots of the stories. So we make messes, and then we pick and choose our messes to keep. The ideas are clear some of the interviews are just delivered straight out. So we get to hear their words. Those aren't left up too much for the imagination, like you know exactly what they're talking about. Some are pretty abstract and you can put yourself in there and find your own meaning through it. So I would say people will for sure come out of this piece having explored pressure, peer pressure, parent pressure, and teacher pressure. Social bullying. So social bullying is sort of attacking relationships, and sometimes it's from around the corner and behind your back when you don't know what's happening. So that, I think people will, that's clear in there. Joy and hope, for sure. How to say this? I think it's just as clear as, or clean as forgiveness. Yeah, forgiveness. And how that can be really difficult. I think you get to see that whole avenue of why would you ever forgive that person, and then actually it happens, and then that was really hard, but they did it. Forgiveness. Gender, sexuality, LGBTQ, ideas, concept issues, friendships, love, suicide prevention. You know, we didn't change any of the stories that were told to us through the interviews. We used them and told them as best we could, either using their straight up language or kind of filtering it through our physicality and creating movement that we felt was conveying their language. That it's not the performances out here and you're the audience and you come to the show, you see it and you leave and you're done. That actually you come and you find a way into it yourself. That's the goal. That's been my goal in making all these pieces. So I consider myself a social activist with my art, for sure, a choreographer. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the work that I try to find. It's work that is I would say more experimental, that pushes the edges just a little bit harder, and I tend to navigate towards that work because it challenges how I think about the world. So I'm drawn to that work more, for sure. I'd say this piece is for people age 12 and up. No, some people say, would you take your kids? And I'm like, you have no idea what my kids have seen. I'm not a good gauge. So I do think that some of the content would challenge a little bit for a younger audience. But boy, it'd be great if parents brought their kids, their middle schooler and high schooler. We made it for this age.
But it's still
You know, just because something bad happens, you can't give up and stay down here. You have